Hi, my name is Chris, and today I'm going to dive into a topic that has been quite interesting, especially since the whole Corona crisis thing. And it is all about live streaming. Actually, I'm going to make multiple videos about this whole topic, different tools and programs that you can use to increase the quality of your live stream, and also maybe talk a little bit about why you may want to live stream yourself. Today, however, I'm going to focus on specifically using your iPhone as a source for a live stream, which you are going to do with OBS. OBS is kind of like an industry standard free software. Of course, there are multiple out there like Ecamm as well as Wirecaster. However, OBS is the only one that is actually free, open source, and for everyone to use. And now, with the new version that just recently was released, version 25, it works wonders. Now, live streaming is an interesting world, especially because it sometimes needs more power as well as all kinds of gear and setups. Many people now invest in high-quality cameras and HDMI capture cards. But what if you just want to get started, test the waters, but you don't want to use the inbuilt camera of your computer, either because you want to change the positioning of the microphone as well as camera, or because the quality of your iSight camera, which still looks like crap on pretty much every Mac, just doesn't cut it. Now, maybe you do have an iPhone, and it doesn't really matter which one you have. I think it's like iPhone 6 and above. This will actually work for you. So anything like the iPhone X, 7, 7 Plus, and so on, this application will work for you, and it is completely free from every point of view. Now, there are many ways you can do this and many different applications. However, the setup that I found, I think, is one that is really intriguing, especially because all the parts are free. There are different applications on the App Store with which you can turn your iPhone into a webcam. However, pretty much any of them cost money. Now, I'm going to talk about a way of using NDI as the main protocol. And the interesting thing is that with a combination of different applications, you then can use your iPhone as a source in OBS to be used as an NDI source, but you can also use your iPhone as a webcam, for example, for a Google Hangout, Skype call, or similar things. Now, one thing that I found out while doing this is that at the current making of this video, Zoom actually does not recognize software solutions for webcams. So maybe Zoom, as well as I think Slack, other applications may not recognize your camera in the default way. There are workarounds, but that's not the topic of this video. But in pretty much any other application, including OBS, you can use this solution to make your iPhone a webcam. But now let's jump onto the screen and I will show you how to set all of this up. What you see on the screen right now is the website of NewTek. NewTek basically are the developers of the NDI protocol, which we are going to utilize in this setup with OBS, with the webcam, using the cameras and also doing screen capture. Now, there are actually multiple different applications that they are providing, and all of them are completely free to use as of this recording. One of them is NDI HX Capture. And as you can see here, it is all about capturing your iOS device's screen as well as the audio. This is amazing for gameplay as well as, for example, tutorials and similar things. And you can simply go to the iOS App Store and download the NDI HX Capture application. Then we also have the NDI HX Camera application, which basically turns your iPhone or iPad into a remote camera for the NDI protocol. I want to mention that at the time of this recording, one feature that I am missing from this is the ability to switch between which back camera is actually used as the source in this application. I have sent a support request to NewTek, and we'll see how that goes if they are open to implementing a way to utilizing the ultra-wide as well as the focused or zoomed lens on here. However, what they do already support is full 1080p capture as well as 4K capture with the cameras here. Like, you can change the video bandwidth here, and with that you can actually change all the way up to 4K and also you can use normal 1080p capture, which would basically just reduce the bandwidth needed for this. Because remember, all of this is done over the network connection, your Wi-Fi essentially, and that is something to keep in mind with the use of the NDI protocol. Now, basically, you just have to download either of these two applications to your iPhone, either the camera or the capture application. And once you have those installed, now we have to move on to where you want to actually use the camera connection. Now I'm going to cover OBS Studio as well as the use of this as a webcam. Now I'm going to start with the use as a webcam, and with that you also have to install a little more applications on your computer. In this case I am talking about macOS, but you can see the NDI tools here, which is basically a big package of software, and if you scroll all the way down here you can see that there are actually the NDI tools for Windows as well as for Mac. Now, what I'm specifically interested in are two software applications in this package. Number one, there's the NDI Studio monitor, which basically gives you just an option to monitor the NDI sources on your network. Like if you are using the NDI HX camera, you can actually just view this on a bigger monitor this way. But what we also have is NDI Scan Convert. NDI Scan Convert basically turns any computer screen into an NDI source, just like you were to do with your iPhone. If you use the NDI application on your iPhone, the capture one, you can turn your screen into a NDI source. NDI Scan Convert does the same thing for your computer. And then we have NDI Virtual Input. And NDI Virtual Input basically takes any NDI source on the network and turns it into a webcam for you to use in different applications. And that's the one that we are focused on right now. So go ahead and download the NDI tools for the system that you are using. And for that, you actually have to enter some information. You can just enter pretty much anything, because right after you click the submit button, they are going to just give you the download link. And once you have entered all the information, here you can see on the screen, click below for NDI tools and NDI HX drivers for macOS. Now I'm going to download both of these packages. And once you have those downloaded, let's open the NDI tools. Then, as you can see here in the NDI tools package, we have the virtual input, we have Scan Convert, NDI Video Monitor, as well as Access Manager and Adobe CC plugin. And I'm going to install the NDI virtual camera. And this actually asks me to restart the system, which I don't want to do right now. And then we are also going to install NDI Video Monitor. This is just so that we can make sure that our NDI sources are working. This is not necessary if you just want to use it as a webcam and it is enough for you to get that working. So we can close that. And then last but not least, we are installing the Mac driver, the NDI HX driver. So let's do that. And with that also finished, we can just close these off. And then, as it asks, restart your system so that the virtual camera is actually recognized from there on as well. And now that I actually have restarted my computer, we are back to where we started. And now we can actually just go into the NDI video monitor for a moment, just so that we can actually make sure that the phone is working. Now, with the video monitor working on your computer and just open, and this is totally normal that it's a black screen, we're going to the phone screen. And now you can see I already have installed the NDI HX capture as well as NDI HX camera. With this, I'm now opening the NDI camera application. And as you can see, I now have myself on multiple screens here. And what we can do going back to the computer with the NDI camera already activated, I can actually go here and go to File. You will automatically see that there's a source which is named based on your phone's name. And then there's the NDI HX capture camera. Now activating that, you can see that we actually get a feedback because it also provides the audio from the camera that is on your phone. So now I have all kinds of screens. I have the monitor on my iPhone. I have the camera that I'm recording with, the Canon EOS R here, and I have the video feed which is from my phone over to the computer. Now, there are a couple of settings that I can also use in this application on the phone, which is, for one, I can click this settings wheel down at the right here, and then I can see all kinds of things. I can turn on a grid and off. I can also turn on the flashlight off the back if I'm using the back camera. I can switch to the back camera like so, and as you can see, we have the nice mirroring effect as well. I can turn on and off the microphone of the camera. And then there is a button which actually controls the quality in which you transfer data through the network. And that's this little speed dial. And as you can see right now, it's set to the middle. And this little knob in the middle can also go to the right and to the left. Now, this is actually where you control whether you want to have normal Full HD or 4K or some smaller resolution. Now, keep in mind, all of this has to travel through your Wi-Fi network, so being cautious of which one you choose may make sense. For my own personal use, for example, if I live stream, I usually live stream with 1080p as my maximum resolution. So I usually just turn this to 1080p as well, which is the middle point. Then we also have at the middle the NDI button, which is actually just going to enable and disable whether or not the phone is actually broadcasting. Then we have to the left, we have the dial for making the picture brighter or darker and going back to the center. And then we have the zoom bar where I can actually just zoom in and out. And this also works with the front camera, as you can see right here. So this is how the NDI camera works with the NDI preview monitor on your computer. Now, one last thing I want to mention about this is that you can actually use this also to record your camera from the phone. I don't actually know why you would want to do that, but it does work. So if you want to just straight up use this monitoring application to also record. Now, closing this, we can go to quit this application. And we're actually going to open up a webcam test. And now on this page with the webcam testing, we can actually see that we have a NDI video source right here. Now this got activated, but it actually does not receive the NDI just yet because we have to actually start the NDI virtual input application. There you can actually go to source and again choose your phone or whichever other source you have and the NDI HX camera. And there you go. This is now being used as a webcam. And one last thing that I want to show to you here is that now we can also use the same camera inside of Skype. And as you can see, now we have the phone working in Skype and we can also choose the audio from the NDI source. So if I tap here, you can see that it is actually using that audio feed. So now we have our phone connected via NDI to our computer using it as a webcam. However, what about using it in OBS for live streaming? And actually there is a plugin for OBS and then you don't need any of the other applications except the one on your phone. So to use your iPhone as an NDI source in OBS, you go and search for the OBS NDI plugin, and it's also going to be linked in the description below. You go to the download page, which will take you to GitHub right here. And please be careful to actually read the installation instructions depending on your system. For me in macOS, I actually will have to download the NDI runtime right here. But one thing to note is that this actually is not something that is going to be run in the background as an application. So you don't actually have to launch this one. This is just automatically managed by the OBS plugin. So closing this, moving to trash, yeah, we're done with that. And then we are going to download the NDI 4.9, in my case, macOS application as a package. And once that is downloaded, we're going to just run that and move to trash. And now we can just start OBS. We can actually close the virtual input because we are no longer needing that. And inside OBS, I created a new setup, a new scene and everything, which is just a 1080p canvas and so on. Now we will have the NDI source right here. We can just name that whatever we want. And in here, we will find the iPhone again, and we can choose that, choose highest bitrate, source timing, and I personally just tried out the experimental low here, which I find works quite well. And allow hardware acceleration is always a good idea. Now, clicking OK here, you can see that now I actually have the iPhone camera inside OBS. And as you also can see on the screen, there's actually an audio source with that NDI source that you can see there's a signal coming from the phone. And again, I can switch the camera and use that one. And I mentioned already in the beginning, I am really looking forward to also being able to switch between the different back cameras, to use the ultra wide, for example, which would be a great addition to this whole setup, to be able to use those different camera angles. Another thing to kind of mention here is that on the iPhone, you actually get a red circle around the camera, or like a red border around the camera, if the source is active in a scene. So if I create a second scene, for example, on the iPhone screen, the border actually changes to blue. So it actually is broadcasting the NDI signal, but it's not being consumed or visible on screen in OBS. And if I switch to that scene again, it takes a second or two, but then the border is again in red, which makes it quite interesting that you can just see on the phone if it is being used in OBS actively right now, which is great if you come from a broadcasting perspective, where that is quite normal, that the person filming actually sees whether or not their program is live right now. And I also want to show you how you can use the NDI HX capture for screen recording your iPhone into OBS. And for that, I had to shut down the recording of my iPhone screen, so I can't show you that at the same time. But I can go into the NDI HX capture. I click the click to begin. Then it is screen broadcasting to NDI, start broadcast. Then it has this little countdown thing and so on. Now I can go in here on the computer screen, go into the NDI source, select the source that we have, and again, click OK. And after a moment, this will actually update, and we can now transform this to, for example, fit to screen. And as you can see, I can now scroll between things, and my screen is actually being broadcasted into OBS via the NDI source. I think this is an amazing way to repurpose either an old iPhone or your current iPhone as a webcam for OBS, just having a secondary angle, or using it as a webcam for your conference calling and such things. I find it quite marvelous that NewTek actually provides all of these applications for free, and you can just start using them right off the bat. If you want to know how to also use an external microphone with your iPhone as well as charge at the same time, I will have a link to a video that I made earlier about that kind of adapter setup that you may need for that. And I'm also looking forward to creating a video about live streaming and video making with a mobile setup just with your phone, and high quality microphone options there as well. If you're interested in that, stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and I will keep you updated. One last thing about this whole NDI technology is that you can actually use multiple iPhones or NDI sources in your whole network. So if you happen to have two iPhones, you can actually just set them both up as a NDI source and also capture multiple angles of your live stream, of your interview, or other things. So iPhones as an NDI source, and maybe even Android phones if the same thing is available there as well, which I don't have any experience with. All of this makes it really possible to have a full-blown broadcasting studio just with phones and a computer. So with all that said, if you have any more questions, leave them in the comment section down below, and I may be able to help you there or make another video about specific issues and topics. And to close, I hope you have an amazing day. Stay safe and healthy. Ciao, ciao, until the next one.